In this video, I will be using this free bundle full of stock assets and I will show you how I created my entry for this challenge called DropZero. This contest is held by Photo Manipulation. They provided us with this amazing bundle and the whole idea was to create something free of choice, but more than 80% of the stock assets have to be from the bundle. I'll have all the links down below in the description in case you want to participate. If you do so, make sure to send me your artwork on Instagram. I would love to see what you did. And all of this being said, without wasting any more time, let's open up Photoshop. First thing first, I had to create a landscape, and seeing all of the assets, I decided to go for a very dry field with some rocks here and there to have some variety. These two images were exactly what I wanted, and with a soft brush, I combined them in a way that I can create a background and foreground at the same time. Using the marquee tool and a solid color adjustment layer, I managed to create a tube, which will be the essential part of this composition. To do that, the rectangle wasn't enough, so I made a rounded shape at the top and it turned out to be very nice and on point. Here is the tricky part. I had to create a reflection and I did this by painting back on the adjustment layer with a low flow brush. As you can see, it already started to look like something. At this point, I didn't know what colors to use. As you can see now, it is orange, but it doesn't really matter because I changed it anyway. Having the blending mode on screen made the entire tube transparent, and after I lowered the opacity, it amplified the effect, and now you can even see the reflection made earlier. Here I made the bottom part brighter, and as I said, the colors changed. The idea of this bright yellow is that under the ground is a source of light that will make the subject visible. You will see what I mean just a bit later. I used this image, which I think is a hole from a spaceship, and with the pen tool I cut a part that will be used for both the lower and the upper part of the tube. This way it will look like it was placed there on purpose, and it will also make it look realistic. Of course, it needed some adjustments. For example, here it has to have some rounded shapes as it continues to go underground. This part I do not need, and kind of the same thing for the upper part. I kept adding more elements by cutting out different parts, mainly from this image since the entire composition will be sci-fi oriented. In the beginning I had no idea what to create, but as you can see, piece by piece I really managed to combine a lot of different assets. Now it's time for the overall blending, which includes shadows, highlights, color correction and many other things. As I do every time, with a solid color adjustment layer, I started to paint some highlights, of course using the blend if slider, which makes them look way better. After that, I lowered the exposure on the entire ground and I made again a solid color adjustment layer for the light that comes out from the tube on the ground. On the other hand, since we have highlights, we also need shadows. This process took me around 20 minutes to complete and it was mostly painting, but to be completely honest, I really enjoyed these steps. In my opinion, this is a crucial part in photo manipulation, and the better you make shadows and highlights, the better the final composition will be. That's why I tend to spend more time doing this. For the sky, I went for some dramatic clouds and I painted some haze because later I will add lightning in the background as another source of light. I had an idea to add stars on top, but I changed my mind and removed the image later in the video. Using an exposure adjustment layer, I created a 3D effect on the tube, then I added some smoke for a more mysterious vibe. I also have a few background elements such as trees and plants, and I placed them randomly on the composition with proper blending, of course, because I felt like it was way too empty. I added more and more assets on both the foreground and background, and things started to change. I really like how all the assets provided were from different categories. This way we had a lot of themes to choose from. Yes, they also provided us with textures and I used them for the tube. I set this one on hard light, inverted the mask and painted back with a brush that has a low flow. The exact same thing here, but this time the blending mode is set on soft light. I did this for a few times in order to add a rusty feeling to the tube, not only on the glass but also on the metallic parts, like it was sitting there for a very long time. The subject is this guy, which should be placed inside the tube. I made him a tiny bit bigger than the average human being, or at least that was in my mind, as he actually was made in a lab. Then, of course, using the same methods I used throughout the video, I blended him with the composition. I didn't want to use the color balance adjustment layer for this one, so with a green color I made him look like he was in there. As I already said in the beginning of the video, there is a light coming from the ground and that automatically means that our guy needs highlights. I know some of you are interested in seeing how to paint them, so there you have it. This cyborg helmet was the first asset that wasn't included in the folder, and I had to use it because I really didn't like how the subject looked without it. Again, shadows, highlights and color correction, nothing new. Then I still felt like it was missing something, so I added some tubes that go directly into the helmet. I used this cyborg only for the robot arm. I just thought that it would be cool if the guy wouldn't be 100% human, and it could also help with the story of this composition. After warping it and creating a shape similar to the original body, once again the same techniques for the blending. Here is the moment when I realized that the stars image ruined the entire composition, so I used another asset, of course from the pack provided. This way I also made myself more room to play with the lighting later on. This screen will be placed in front of the tube, and I used the pen tool for a better selection. Since it was very close to the light, it needs some bright highlights. There is not much to be said here. I know I repeat myself a lot, but I have to do the same things over and over in order to get these results. Here I added some bubbles inside the tube by using a brush along with a solid color adjustment layer. I know it might look like it isn't that important, but trust me, it is a small detail that will change the final result a lot. For the last time I used the landscape image from the pack. It is a CG background with a lot of elements placed on the ground, and it filled my entire background. It was exactly what I needed, and I'm very happy that they included this one as an asset. I can say that it kinda saved me here at the end. After using a particle overlay, it was time for the final detail, if I can call it like this. I used 3 different lightning overlays, and I placed them all over the sky. In order to make the effect really pop out, it was just a matter of blending. In my opinion, the most important thing was to paint highlights on the clouds. Right before going to camera raw filter and clicking export, I wanted to add more details to the image, so I just used different parts which I cut off from our beloved spaceship hallway. I want to say a big thank you to Photo Manipulation for this challenge. It was a lot of fun, and for sure I will use these assets in my project from now on. Let me know your opinion down below in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you like my content, and I will see you in my next video.